All right, this week I want to get into an article I recently came across. It gets into the benefits of lifting. So I'll reference my previous videos I've done on getting started with lifting and doing like the push pull leg split, and I've done a few videos on information on how you can split up your weightlifting. So I'll do is I'll link the reference to this in the comments and everything, so people can actually check it out. So it's a meta analysis from Harvard. So it, and it's like a .edu source. So you can kind of see that it's a relatively credible source. So when it comes to like online sources, what you want to look for is .gov or .edu for sources. Those tend to be more reliable than your .com sources. Now, of course, me being big into AthleanX and everything, you can go to his channel, athleanx.com, and you have to do like a little with something like that. You have to do a little more legwork and like check in. Like, okay, well, he has a bachelor's in a pre-med, and he has a master's in physical therapy. So you can check on his credentials with his education and everything. So, but like I said, with .coms, when you're going online research and stuff, you kind of have to do a little extra legwork and kind of in a sense do a little extra research to see if other things back that up. So this is why when you see websites, if they're .edu or .gov, they tend to be more reliable than your .coms that you'll come across, because you can with .coms interject a lot of opinions, and you can be a lot more biased in your opinions and everything when you do those .com. So definitely look for like I said, .edu and .gov when it comes to websites for research and stuff. So I got it pulled up right over here. So the article states that evidence mounts on the benefits of strength training. So it's a meta-analysis that they did, and it talks about the muscle strengthening workouts on the long-term benefits of strength training. So it said, the study said it was going into just 30-60 minutes a week of training, and it also states it goes into the stat of 10 to 20% lower risk of dying from pretty much all-cause mortality and things from cancer and heart disease. And it states that it seems to plateau the benefits of it after an hour, and it definitely decreases after 2 hours. So most workouts, especially that I do, are at most an hour, maybe an hour and a half long. And most of the being big into AthleanX, like I've said, most of the workouts that I do are only about 45 minutes long. And right now I'm in the process of doing old school iron, and most of the even with the a 5 minute warm up and everything, general warm up, whether I'm just sitting there going at it at a heavy bag, or I do have a pedal machine that I'll use just to kind of get myself going. My workouts usually only last about 45 minutes and everything. So and and I do lift at least 4 days a week, because there's sometimes I'm personally, I might feel beat up after a couple days of lifting, because especially going intense with this old school iron program, I might take a day to step back and okay, I'll get back to it tomorrow. So I tend to lift at least 4 days a week and everything. So if I'm I do take a day off from lifting, I'm probably still using my pedal machine or something in the morning, still to kind of get the going and everything. So I'm still doing something, and I can still move towards getting ready for next year's AthleanX Live event. But the programs the way that AthleanX writes them is you have pretty much 5 days a week where you're doing the lifting or whatever, lifting and or cardio or conditioning, depending on which program you do. And most of the programs workouts are geared towards that 45 minutes, because the longer you stay in the gym and everything, the less intense your sets have to be. So that's the whole inverse relationship, intensity volume, and I can get into that in a future video with other studies. But like what's what I like what yeah what was great about this article is that like it does mention like doing like uh, body parts like twice a week and everything, which is like push pull legs is like the primary example of the twice a week, because you're hitting like every major muscle group twice a week by doing that. Of course, full body uh, program like that, you're doing like a full body split, you're hitting 3 times a day, so you're doing that at least twice a week and everything. So it does get into like that. So like the Min Lee, the professor of epidemiology at Harvard, it was like one who was at least tagged into this. So like this article get like I said, is a meta-analysis on a meta-analysis, which means it took several different studies and looked at them and like kind of looked at the data from like all these studies and look like, okay, well, what is this information all about and everything. So like when you're running a study, you might grab a sample group of say like 30 men and run them through. We'll do a full body split 3 times a week, and like we'll sit here and like our hypothesis is that like if they do this full body split for 3 months, we expect them to gain 2 pounds of muscle, or like maybe half a pound of muscle a week and we'll do it for 2 months. So we expect them to get X amount of muscle over these 2 months. So like okay, well, half a pound a week, and then we do it like for 2 months. So we expect 8 pounds of muscle over the course of the 2 months or something, or type of deal. And then we got to take like, okay, well, are we taking people who are untrained, in the sense that like are we just pretty much taking them off the couch, people who basically have an office job, do the Netflix and chill after work, or are we taking people who are already been going to the gym for a while, and like also, and then we have to get into those variables to see how that affects. So like we may take the study of 30 men and do that, and we come to find out like after we run through like the whole like study where we do have them do full body like body splits 3 times a week, and then like we only have them do that, and then like we see that like okay, after the 2 months they end up only gaining 4 pounds of muscle and everything, but that's like all they did. And so then like what another study might do is they might take that and then like, okay, well, let's add in like maybe 2 days of conditioning as well, and see the results of that. And so like then like that's the second study, we'll see like, oh, they actually gained, instead of 4 pounds, they gained 6 pounds by adding a couple of days of cardio or whatever. And then of course a third study will come out and like add in the variable of like improving nutrition and everything. And then like okay, well, this had this effect on it. And then of course another study will add in the variable of how sleep affects it, and then you have like these multiple studies that add in different variables and might have different sample sizes of groups and everything. So then like what the like this group this article is like with the meta-analysis, it'll take all those studies and bring all the variables together and seeing like, okay, well, based on all these different variables, and like what we're seeing here is that like we need to account for like us, like I said, sleep. We need to account for like maybe conditioning. Like if they're doing a full body split, we got to take into account the whether they're like unconditioned, untrained, just taking the average person off the street who's never done any training whatsoever, or and like also we got to take into consideration, are we taking people off the street that maybe are have several months of experience lifting, they're just starting to get into it, or like are we getting someone like me who has several years worth of lifting experience? And so they're taking all these different studies and all these different variables, putting them together, and then coming up with like in a sense like a new study, and be like, oh, okay, here's our findings based on all these studies, which then in a sense creates this meta-analysis. Now in a sense gets this new study. So now with this new meta-analysis, it can in a sense increase our knowledge and be like, okay, well, let's take this meta-analysis and start doing more studies, and then the whole process starts all over again. So this is like an article that like I came across that like definitely, I mean, it's brief, And like, of course, it's being brief. It only touches upon like the actual study and everything. So like I said, what I'll do is I'll link the article in the comments so people can actually go check it out. But it's one of those articles that, like I said, gets into a meta-analysis done by Harvard, and it's a .edu source, so like you can see that it is pretty credible, and so that way like we can take this article and be like, okay, well, here's some more evidence to back up like why lifting is actually good for you. So going forward, I'm going to try and probably bring up more articles and stuff, not just on lifting, but like seeing like the effects on how sleep can affect us negatively, positively, like the benefits of yoga, and like of course like conditioning, like our nutrition, and of course like community is another important thing. Like touch upon like the 7 pillars and stuff and everything I've gotten into. So this is just like the first article that I plan on getting into of many more to come, to kind of like give evidence to back up what I've been saying in the previous videos and everything, so that way people can get more information and look into it even further.